you were feeling much, much better, and that's the one thing I want to talk to you all about. It's amazing how quickly it changes when you have had them taken out. But give me your status update on how you feel today.
Oh, I still feel like I'm in my 30s. I just turned 55. I feel like I'm 35. I really seriously mean that. I feel like I'm 35. I could eat everything. It took me 7 months. Thanksgiving came because I had all the food allergies, and they had put me on paleo, and then they tried vegan, and I kept still struggling. I was doing vegan the day I left for Costa Rica, and I still couldn't make it up the stairs carrying my empty suitcase. I was huffing and puffing. I haven't worked out in probably a year, and I just started working out this week, and I breezed through it. That's the difference. Before, I couldn't even get through the warm-up without huffing and puffing, thinking I was going to die just in the warm-up of my aerobics, and then I'd have to like sit there and just tell myself, keep moving, because if you stop moving, you're not going to. So I would just push myself to keep moving, and now I could go down and run on the treadmill a mile and not stop, and I could not do that for 20 years.
And needless to say, the depression that had set in on you, where you weren't even getting out of bed.
Right. I couldn't get out of bed. The depression's gone. I had suicidal depression so bad. That is all gone. Like if I get ticked at my husband, I feel like sad, but I'm not feeling the depression like you want to crawl in bed, you can't get out of bed. So, I guess I just feel sad like normal people. I've had depression so long, for 20 years. Yeah, so no, that's all gone. The anxiety, I had 24-hour-a-day anxiety. Just this butterfly racing, not fun, racing all the time, 24 hours a day. They even tried prescribing whatever it was, whatever.
Ativan?
No, different.
Xanax?
Xanax. And I took 2 one morning, and they had me out on remote, and because he said, take one, yeah, and I blacked out the whole morning show. Because I took it, he said, take it, and I still couldn't breathe, so I took another one because I still couldn't breathe. And here I was having a tree nut allergy. Yeah. And I can eat tree nuts now, too. I can eat tree nuts and not react. I'm eating peanut butter and not reacting. I'm eating all foods that I could not eat. So Thanksgiving came, and it was at our house, and I said, I'm eating everything because I'm not going to not eat my potatoes and my pumpkin pie and stuff. And everybody warned me, no, you're going to get sick. And I said, no, I'm eating it. I'm going to try. And I didn't get nauseated or anything. So then I started eating everything in sight. I had dropped down to 126 pounds because I was able to work out. And then I quit doing my yoga and working out. And so I gained my weight back. So I'm the exact same weight as when you were here and interviewed me. The exact same weight, but I feel like $1,000,000. I feel fine.
You look terrific. You really do.
I would never know.
What was it that led you to connect them with the problems you were having with the implants?
Went to neurology first. I was scanned and MRI'd from top to bottom. I went to infectious diseases. I went to special neurology at Cleveland Clinic. I went to everywhere. Nobody could find anything wrong with me. And so we were sitting, my father-in-law was in hospice, and the family was gathered around. And my sister-in-law said, well, my girlfriend has had symptoms like what you have. And she just had her implants out, and she had mold in them, and she was found toxic for mold. I thought, oh, and she told me about the Facebook page. So that's when I went to the Facebook page, and I started reading, and I thought, that is me. That is exactly me. Nobody can diagnose me, and we're all, thought to be kind of crazy. Everything's in your head because your labs are all negative, at least mine were. And so I got on and said, this is what I have to do. I have to get them out. So, but that was a 3-year process before I found out to actually removing them. I am.
You're surrounded by experts.
Yes, I had palpitations. I had all kinds of things. So I went to all my friends, cardiologists, neurologists. I was sent oncology. I was sent everywhere. Yeah. And
you did the same thing. You went to Costa Rica to have them removed.
I did.
Yes. And how long did it take for you to realize, well, that was the problem?
Oh, I felt better, like within a couple months. I mean, I was putting weight back on because I lost a lot of weight because I was reacting to so many foods I had to cut out. And so I ended up dropping a lot of weight. And now there's some foods I still leave out, but I've added back some meats that I didn't have before and things like that, but which I'm enjoying.
But are you like Tracy in that you feel like a whole new lease on life since
I
then?
still have, a lot of women get like 100% better very quickly. I did notice a difference very quickly. I still have some issues just with my feet, and whether that has to be with I'm on them 12 hours a day, maybe 3 days in a row. Just some issues there. But other than that, my hair quit falling out. I mean, that happened rather quickly. And it's been a year, just over a year for me.
Yeah.
And it went about 6 months I was functioning.
And you're 1 year, right?
Just 1 year, just over 1 year.
Yeah, yeah. LaTasha, your situation was interesting given the physical demands of the life that you were trying to lead as an MMA fighter. A lot of people couldn't live up to what you were trying to do, but really compounded with what you were dealing with.
Yes, so I modeled. I was a professional kickboxer in my 20s, so I got this bright idea to get giant implants. I love Dolly Parton, Pamela Anderson.
She already
you
had
know.
D cups.
Yeah, and I didn't need them. Looking back at my young 20-year-old self, memo to her. But so I got them, and I fought all of my 20s. I had upper respiratory infections, pneumonia. They were saline implants. Sinus infections, insomnia started. So when I wanted to start my MMA career, I wanted to go smaller. I wanted them out. So I go to a surgeon. I'm 30 years old. And I said, I need them to be a lot smaller because I didn't want to be choking somebody and see my giant,
Yeah.
And he told me that I would look bad and I needed to put an implant in. So we went smaller. I listened to him. I said, silicone. He wanted to switch him to silicone. I said, those are not safe. He goes, oh, yes, they are. They're the new ones. And I was like, would I know if I had a rupture or something happened? He said, you would know right away. So I got them, and I had 3 MMA fights, and I haven't fought again. I got deathly ill right after I got them. And I've struggled for about 9 years. It took my career. I'm a single mom. I have a set of twins that are 2, a 4-year-old little girl, and I almost died.
And same thing, trying to connect what you were going through to your implants was this
Yes.
long, impossible.
Yes,
journey.
doctors told me that I needed antidepressants. I took pain pills off and on, Xanax, sleeping pills. I couldn't sleep anymore. I had anxiety. I was suicidal. My kids are the only thing that really kept me alive, and my mom, because I had to stay around.
And you had yours taken out in Illinois, which meant it was not as cheap as going to Costa Rica as it was. So this was an expense, and it was all on you, right? Insurance didn't cover
Well,
it.
I had no help at all. And I met Laura, and we became friends. And a couple weeks later, I started telling her that I didn't feel well, and she asked me if I had breast implants. And I said yes. And I said, actually, one of them kind of feels weird. And she said, honey, you have a rupture. And after she examined me
in the car in the driveway.
in the morning after CrossFit,
Who does that?
and I remember sitting.
You do.
I was just sitting in the car, and the last 10 years of my life just flashed by, everything. And I realized, wow, it is the implants. And I cried and I cried, and I didn't have the money. I had no way, but God made a way. Go ahead, tell him.
Yeah.
Tell him how it happened.
How
Everything happened.
you got yours out?
Yes.
Kind of tell them everything. There was a private donor that came forward. We needed within 2 weeks to keep the spot for her to get her implants out, and a private donor called and paid for her implants to come out.
Yeah.
And it was, well, what happened when you woke up?
Yeah,
This
get me
is
back to
what
so
happened.
the change for you.
So I lost my eyesight on my left side. All my problems were on my left side. It would come in and out. I couldn't even drive anymore. And when I woke up from surgery, I could see out of my left eye
For the first time in
for the
months.
first time in
Years.
months. Years it was off and on. It was like blurry, but I got my eyesight back.
She said it was all cloudy. She couldn't even see out of it for 2 months.
She
And
hasn't
then
had a
woke up
driver's
from
license for 3
surgery, And
years.
she could see out of her left eye.
Did you assume that was a fight-related thing?
No, I thought I was getting older. Like
anybody, I know. That's what I'm blaming it
That
on.
might not be part of the
I
average
know,
aging
but I was
process,
like, man, I'm aging so hard. I didn't understand. I said I took care of myself. I was an athlete.
30.
I looked at myself and I was like, my mom she has the most amazing skin. I knew something was wrong because I was aging so hard. You know, and I couldn't see anymore. I just was like, wow, I peaked young, I guess. It sucked because it's not supposed to happen for women like that.
Yeah.
But
What else went away?
the chronic fatigue, brain fog, I could think again. It was a struggle. I'm going into my 10th month, and I've been doing CrossFit for 7 months straight. I mean,
Your training.
getting that stuff out of my body was so hard. I worked for it. I trained every day, and I was actually able to go back to kickboxing 2 weeks ago. And I remember
Can you even compare how you feel today with how you felt a year ago? Or
I have never been so strong. I feel like a teenager. Like I went back to when I was a teenager, when I put those gloves on and I threw a punch. Like I went home and I called her and I sent her a video and I was crying. And I was like, thank you for giving me my life back. I said, I was so strong. I said, I can't wait to hit a girl because I feel so much better. And I just dropped to my knees and I prayed and I was just grateful that I made it through the storm, the biggest storm of my life.
Laura, you're kind of the OG of this group. You really do go, you go way back before anybody was talking about anything called breast implant illness.
It was actually called silicone adjuvant breast disease back in the 90s. We've revamped it. It's now called something different. Do you want me to tell my story?
Yeah.
Well, on that note, I just found out when I woke up this morning that today is a year that her and I met. So this is our anniversary on the day we're doing this. So had him put in 1990. Give you a short version. Husband didn't want to do it. Just put the ear back in him. Nursed 3 babies. Went to the surgeon like everybody, perfectly safe. And now, I do have to stop for 1 second. This is 28 years ago. And the fact I'm sitting here, and this could have been stopped back then, and we now have a support group with 100,000 women in it. And we are still looking for answers and needing the medical community to acknowledge this. We seriously have a problem.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for social media, we'd be back in 1990. We had nothing. We had fax machines. We had newspapers. So to move back forward, had him put in 1990, within 4 months, taken down on my knees, within 4 months. Every doctor, the same thing. It's literally like deja vu, listening to their story. I had
Lupus, something
everything.
autoimmune, right?
Yeah, how's your marriage? You do have children, stress, talk to a psychiatrist. I heard everything that and I was 26. Not that it's okay if you get older, but you can blame it more on older. Menopause, 26 years old, always healthy and taken down. And I decided one day what's the only thing that's changed in my life, and it was breast implants. I'm like, I'm gonna go back to my plastic surgeon. He'll tell me the truth. So I went to my surgeon. I was not hysterical, and I just basically said, I'm very sick. And if it's my breast implants, please tell me. And he tapped me on the knee. Now. There's no scientific data to this day to show that's why you're sick, but I'll take them out in the office if that makes you feel better. I said, get them out of me. Made the appointment within 2 weeks. I'm at my grandma's house watching Jenny Jones. On Jenny Jones, she had them, and obviously from the older generation, we remember Jenny Jones, many people. She was like the Oprah back then, I guess. And she basically, all her symptoms, I was looking at myself. I thought, that's what's wrong with me. And on the bottom scrolled a support group. And that night I called a woman from the support group. Her name was Vicky, and she was my lifeline. She saved my life. She said, do not go back to that man. He will kill you. And what she meant by that, what he would do is go through this capsule that your body is, that's your friend. And he would have, if they were not ruptured, he would have ruptured the implant, taken the implant out, left the capsule in, and sent me on my way. If that had happened, I would not be sitting here today. So that became my journey to find a doctor. And even to where we are today, trying to find a doctor who acknowledges it's such a brotherhood. Women are still struggling. They're going out of state. The medical community still does not acknowledge this illness. And it's a problem. And I found out about a doctor in Baylor, at Baylor University, Texas. And we took $10,000 from our 401k, because insurance, why are they going to pay for a product that's faulty? Back then, it was like nobody was touching it. We were still in the early stages. And I met 3 floors of sick women. And I got them out, and I immediately, it's like the switch went off. And my neurologist came in and I said, how can I feel so much better? And he said, you're one of the lucky ones. You are young, healthy, and they were not ruptured. I need to emphasize, they were not ruptured and took me to my knees. Yeah. So I think it's so important for women to realize 24 hours after the implants are put in, they gel bleed. It is immediate autoimmune response. This is what the capsule is for. It's protecting the rest of your body from this silicone, this toxin. Yeah. So it's not if you're going to get sick, it's when you're going to get sick.
So the part that I then want to open up to you all to talk about, there's a couple of things that you all would really like to happen. Number one, what would it mean if this were to be an actual diagnosis? Because that's what you're still struggling with, it being something real, right?
Well, that's why we went to the FDA. Mm-hmm. And I still feel
Insurance would have to pay.
I still feel like we're banging our head. Mm-hmm. We have so far to go.
Oh, we do.
I haven't seen anything really happen with the
Plus,
medical
another
field.
thing, the doctors need to be educated on taking that capsule out, because within that capsule, if you watch the videos when they pull the implant and the capsule out, called en bloc or capsulectomy, and then you see them cut it with scissors, if there's fluid in between, that needs to be tested for the man-made cancer. And they're leaving, so what they're doing is they're just taking the implant out and they're leaving that fluid, and these women are getting sick, and then that capsule is all contaminated as well. That is the argument, that the capsule does need to come out. I'm 100% positive on that one. That whole capsule has to come out.
Which is why you two went to Costa Rica, because that's what he did. He does.
To him, because he believed that we were all sick. He didn't think we were crazy. Mm-hmm. He had beautiful results most of the time. He had beautiful results. And he believed the entire capsule had to come out. Every little bit. He will sit there and meticulously take every little bit of tissue that he can grab that might be contaminated.
And then he would provide you with a video of your implant and him opening it up to show you what's inside and tell you what the size, what it is, what the implant is, and show you your capsule so that you know he got this whole capsule. And you see yourself in the table behind him, which is really kind of freaky. But
You only find out if you have a rupture once that capsule's opened.
Right.
That's where, once they open up that capsule, then they see if there's a rupture.
Just the capsule itself, though, the video to me was so hard to watch, to think that was what was in your body, because that capsule looked rancid. It just looked, it just couldn't be healthy.
to feel it, to believe that was in your body, was just, to me, was
And
unreal.
that's why some women's breast gets rock hard when they have implants,
hard,
because that
yeah.
scar capsule is then getting tighter and tighter and tighter,
With that being
and then
said,
it's like a rock.
back in the
So it's
day,
like gripping.
We're complaining of that. They would go back and a doctor would do a closed capsulectomy. They would take it and they would crack it. And that's how doctors were solving that problem. And what happened, they're breaking up that scar capsule, which made the silicone just bleed through faster, and the body going, well, wait a minute, now we need to protect. So then we have a couple capsules. Then we continue the process.
Well, and another point of, I guess, dispute here is that I know you don't, some would say, well, this is really just a silicone problem. I don't think you buy that.
No,
No, because you had saline.
I had problems with the saline ones too.
The shell is silicone.
It's an implant problem. It's a matter of time. It's a bomb.
Yeah, she had both.
Because the shell they're in is
Mine were,
Yes.
mine were smooth salines, and the shell has more than 40 toxins in it. The shell is
And the
silicone.
saline actually has been known, Dr. Blay, who is a wonderful pathologist in Canada, who this is another thing, my implants went to him. He's amazing. He is proving, he does all the examinations, tells you exactly what happened with these faulty devices. He is still getting breast implants to this day. My implants in 1992 was sent to him, and he is still fighting for us. He is still doing interviews. He is still screaming. And that's unbelievable.
The implant, you showed me these back when we did the last story, and they were full at the time, and now there's just dry salt inside them. Should that tell me something?
Well, I think because they're out of the body. It's something that might happen.
That's all that's left is dried salt crystals. They're still full,
air was getting in there.
but they're still full of
Yeah.
air.
Well, it has to tell you there's some sort of leaching going on somewhere.
So with the saline implants, back to Dr. Blay, he is told, even back in the 90s, we'd meet him at conferences, it's the faulty valves. There's faulty valves.
Yeah.
So we have saline going out and we have bodily fluid going in.
yeah.
So we have mold and fungus that's developing. And what does that do to the immune system?
A question that, as I said earlier, my wife wanted me thought to ask. I would not have thought to ask this, but I guess so that now that you all did this because you wanted to look a certain way once upon a time, how do you feel about the way you look now, or is that so far gone a thought because you feel so great compared to where you were now?
I went into surgery knowing I could come out looking like a mastectomy patient, but I was so sick I didn't care. I just didn't care what I came out looking like at that point. Luckily, I'm a lucky one. So I feel actually more feminine than I ever have in my whole entire life. It took me to 55 to grow and mature.
I know, and be happy
It's
with what we have, right?
I'm mature, failure to launch over here. But I feel more feminine than I have ever in my whole life, and I'm back to how I was before I went down the rabbit hole and screwed it all up. I feel better now.
Me too. I look at pictures and I think, oh, why did I do that?
I feel a lot better about myself, 40 years. I feel like I'm the way God wanted me to be. I'm athletic. They were not meant to be huge. And I don't care what others think. I love me. And when I look in the mirror, I'm happy.
We all pretty much feel the same way. They never feel a part of you either. They really do not feel like they're part of you.
Do it
Women
again.
are strong and resilient.
Yeah.
And we're gonna stand up and and say what needs to be done. And
We all have our little...
the heel is real.
There you go. Oh, hold that shot.